TrekWorks YouTube channel is sponsored by HDA Model Works, suppliers of scale lighting products, detail accessory parts, and complete model kits. Visit HDAModelWorks.com today.
Well, hello there again, everybody. Boyd here with you, and welcome to part 3 of our B-36 Peacemaker build. This is the old vintage 172 scale monogram kit. Making really good progress. You can see that the major structure of the airplane is all put together now. I haven't glued the wings on yet, and I haven't glued the elevators on. I just kind of mocked it all up. In fact, on the main wings, I haven't decided yet if I'm even going to glue those on. They kind of lock in place, and that spar support in the middle of this thing is really strong. If you pick the model up, the wings don't move or droop or anything. So it's such a huge model with a 40-inch wingspan that if I ever have to pack it up or move, you know, I don't anticipate that, but if I ever had to, this thing would be a nightmare to move. And that's why it's going to hang on the wall in my display room. I don't even have a shelf big enough for this thing to sit on. You can see it sitting down on the mains, as we'd like to say. We got the landing gear all in place, and it's sitting down on the nose wheel like it should. I'm really glad I added that extra weight, you know, the little RC motor that I used inside the fuselage there to hold the front end down. Turned out to be just right. It's you know, it's got a little bit of weight on the front end, but not too much where the you know, where the nose gear is going to have a lot of stress on it. I'll just kind of pan you around on this thing a little bit. I've still got a lot of little detail parts to go on. You know, the fuselage blisters. There's some extra struts for the landing gear. I got the bomb bay doors, the props. I've got to fix the machine guns that I broke off, and a few other things like that. The struts that go on the jet pods, you know, a few little things like that. But for the most part, all the stuff's done. I mainly wanted to talk to you guys today about the paint on the, you know, on the airplane that I used. We used that VHT plate finish, and you know, I just kind of wanted to give you guys feedback of what I found out about working with it. It works really great. It's got a beautiful luster to it, almost like a chrome finish. And then we were going to come back and seal that with the, you know, the all-clad aqua gloss, which advertises that they're supposed to, you know, go over the top of chrome like that and not lose any of that luster. Well, you do lose a little bit of the luster, just like I figured. I'm not disappointed, though. I mean, I'm really happy. I've gone back and looked at a lot of the pictures that are available of this airplane. And the movie Strategic Air Command has been re-released in 4K high definition, so you can really see the detail. And it's a beautiful, you know, up-close shot of the plane taxiing on the runway and getting ready to take off. And you can see that the plane wasn't as bright, you know, like super chrome looking. It had, you know, it had some brighter areas, but other areas were way subdued. And you had the kind of magnesium colors on the, you know, on the hull and everything. So I wound up, you know, being pretty happy with how this toned down. Now it still has a really nice, it leaves a really nice sheen on it, a nice reflective finish. If I can maybe turn this overhead light off and you can see that a little bit better. If I move the camera around just over the top of the wings a little bit, you can see it still has a really nice reflective, you know, like polished finish on there, which you know, you don't get that with a lot of those regular chrome, you know, or silver sprays like testers or whatever. You know, it still looks really, really good. Now I'm curious if anybody out there has actually worked with the all-clad chrome and tried that, you know, aqua gloss over that. It might work really good for that because that's the product it's intended to be applied over the top of, so it might retain all, you know, every bit of that. And there's actually a fella out there on YouTube that does a lot of props and stuff that works with a lot of that plate type finish, and he says that after you use the aqua gloss, that you can come and spray over the top of that with regular automotive 2K clear, and it will bring back a lot of that luster. But at the point I got to with this, I decided not to do that. Now what happened, one thing that I am going to mention is that paint, the VHT, in its raw format without any sealer on it, it does not like any kind of masking over the top of it whatsoever. You know, I waited 3 or 4 days because I know this stuff dries really slow, and I've got my AC on constantly out here, so I made sure I had low humidity. But I tried, you know, regular mask, detacking it, you know, masking tape on my shirt and all that, and tested it in a couple of spots. And no matter what I did when I peeled it up, it would leave these little blemishes in the paint. Not like, you know, pulling chunks of it off or anything like that. It just left these little blemishes, that would bug you. I mean, you'd have to get right up to it with your eye before you'd see it, but it just really bugged me. And I tried some really fine polishing compound and tried to buff it out, and it just won't go away. So I had to, you know, when I tried to mask these areas right here for the magnesium colors, that's when I had the problem. So I wound up repriming the entire fuselage again, and this time I sprayed the magnesium colors on first, and then did all the chrome finish afterwards, and that worked out just fine. These colors are done with just regular craft acrylic paints. They have an actual magnesium color, and that's what I use for there, and I really like that. So that's what I'll say about that stuff, guys. It's, you know, I'm still really happy with the finish. I think it looks very, very much like the plane on the movie, and like a lot of the planes that I'm seeing pictures of. So I'm pretty happy about that. Now, I ordered a really nice aftermarket set of decals. One of the commenters said there was a really nice set of decals available for this kit from Warbird Decals. And it's all your wing walkway markings, these really intricate black lines that go all over the wing and around the engine pods and everything. And that's going to add a lot of nice detail onto the top of this because it looks kind of plain the way it is. And I'm glad that there's decals available because I was thinking about trying to do it with, vinyl stripping, pinstriping, and that stuff is really sticky too. And I was really worried that if I didn't get it down perfectly straight every time and had to do any adjusting on it, that every time I peeled it up, I was going to risk, peeling a big chunk of my paint off. So, the decals are going to be great. I can use water, lay them down, get them all nice and spiffy and looking, all lined up really nice. And then I'll let that dry, and then I'll reseal the entire, I don't know if I'll have to do the whole plane, but I'll probably reseal the wings with the aqua gloss again and get the decals all locked down. Now, speaking of markings, I did a little bit of mix and match on this airplane. I mentioned I wanted to do the South Dakota version. Well, I did partly that, and I did partly some other stuff because I just kind of wound up picking markings that I liked. Like I like that big triangle on the tail there. I saw that in a lot of the pictures of these airplanes. They would have a different, letter in there in different ones, but the triangle was kind of always the same. They always had that 8th Air Force logo. But the South Dakota version didn't have that, and I thought the tail looked too big and too plain without anything on there, so I just decided to do that. Now down here at the landing gear covers, I did the barbershop stripes there, which you see on the plane in Strategic Air Command. Now I just did that because I like it. I thought they were actually some kind of safety thing, but it turns out those are actually squadron markings for a particular, I don't know which one, but I found that out. And they also had that same thing at the top of the tail. And I just put them on there because I like them. I think they look really cool. I've seen some B-29s that were painted that way too. So again, a little bit of mix and match. A little bit, some of the purists out there might say, hey, that's wrong, but like I always say about these models, it's your model, do what you want. If you're putting it in a show or something like that where somebody's going to be nitpicking it, then maybe you want to be really, and nothing wrong with that. A lot of people knock on rivet counters, but, modelers are detail oriented and we always want to get the details right. So I have no knock on rivet counters, but I think the rivet counters shouldn't knock on the other guys either that don't, always get into every little thing like that. I just like to do what I liked, The blue detail on the jet pods there is something I saw in one of the pictures. It also had some blue on the wingtips that I'm going to add. It just kind of highlights that little blue, banner that goes on the front there with the SAC logo on there. I just think that goes really nice with that. But, like I said, just a lot of little detail parts to go on it still. Got the propellers all painted up and ready to go. I'm not going to put those on till the very end. I don't want to break them like I did the machine guns. And I got the bomb bay doors I got to paint. Got the little struts on the jet pods that need to go on. The clear blisters on the fuselage and a few things like that. But, overall it's looking pretty good. I mainly wanted to get back to you guys today and talk about the, how the paint was going and everything. But, you live and you learn. And it turned out to be, like, who says that? Bob Ross. Turned out to be kind of a happy mistake. I really like the way it shaped up to be at the very end. Got the canopy you can take off and got the flight deck. I had to go back in there and, do a little bit of touching up on that. You always get a little overspray. Had to touch up the inside the bomb bay and inside the front landing gear well. I've got all the wells inside the wings painted green and all that. You'll see the bottom side of it when I get to the final video here. But there you go, guys. Another update for you, kind of a quick one. I'll be back with a final wrap video after a couple days. My decals should be here by Wednesday or so, I'll get those done, and maybe by Friday or so, we'll come back with the grand finale of this. I'm really happy. I think I'm gonna spring for the big B-52 and maybe that big Liberator kit from Monogram too. Then I'll have a complete collection of the big bombers. I've never built the 52 or the Liberator, so those will be fun. I'm not going to get to them right away, but we'll get to them eventually. I just really enjoy working on these big airplanes. They're a lot of fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed the update. We'll catch up to you guys in a few days. Until we do, take care and happy